Chapter 1. Cake Everything Feels Too Hard. Have you ever opened your eyes in the morning and felt a heavy silence inside your heart, as if the whole world was asking you to stop trying? Have you ever walked into a new day and wondered why everything feels more difficult than yesterday, even though nothing big has changed? This is the moment our story begins. The moment when life feels too heavy, too slow, and too confusing to continue. And today, we meet someone who feels exactly that way. Someone just like you. Someone who wants to learn, to grow, to speak, but feels stuck. Her name is Mira, a young woman who dreams of speaking English confidently, dreaming bigger than her world has allowed so far. But on this particular morning, her dream feels distant, almost impossible, like a light she can see but cannot reach. She sits beside her small wooden table, books open, notebook empty, courage slowly disappearing with each second. And as the minutes pass, she whispers a sentence many learners know too well. Maybe I should stop trying. It is strange how quitting can feel easier than continuing, even when the dream is beautiful and the desire is real. Mira feels this truth sinking into her chest as she looks at her English book, a friend she wants to understand but cannot fully embrace. Her eyes move across the page, but the words do not stay in her mind, and frustration grows like a quiet storm. She closes the book gently, not because she wants to, but because her heart feels tired. Have you felt this before? Have you ever tried to learn English or change your life, only to feel like progress is too slow, too painful, too far away? Many learners experience this moment, the moment when the dream is clear, but the path feels invisible. It is here, in this silence, that Mira's story connects with your own. The sound of a passing motorcycle echoes outside her window, bringing her back to the present moment. She takes a deep breath, looks at her reflection in the window glass, and wonders why she feels so weak today. Her reflection looks the same, but her mind feels different, less confident, more uncertain, like she has lost something important overnight. She wants to believe she is strong, but her thoughts tell a different story. This is where psychology enters our story, the gentle understanding of why we feel what we feel. The human mind is designed to protect us from discomfort, which is why difficult tasks often feel painful. Learning a new language, building new habits, or changing our identity always comes with resistance. Mira is not failing. She is simply facing the natural barrier every learner meets on the path of growth. In this moment of emotional struggle, she remembers something her teacher once said: "Difficult days are not signs to stop. They are invitations to grow." But today, that sentence feels too big, too heavy, too far from her small room and tired heart. She shakes her head, wondering why she cannot simply be stronger the way others seem to be. The truth is simple. No one is strong all the time. Even the most successful people in history had mornings when nothing felt right, when quitting looked like the only option. Think of famous figures who changed the world: writers, leaders, scientists. Each one had days of doubt. Their greatness was not built on perfect confidence, but on the courage to stand up, even when they felt weak. Mira tries to stand up from her chair, but her body feels heavy, like she is carrying invisible weight. She walks slowly to the window, hoping fresh air will clear her mind. Outside, children are laughing, playing, running freely without worry, a reminder of simpler times. She watches them, wondering when she last felt that kind of freedom inside her own heart. A small voice whispers inside her mind, "Why am I struggling so much? Why can't I learn faster?" She feels embarrassed even though she is alone in the room. But this question is not shameful. It is human, honest, and shared by millions of English learners around the world. You, too, may have asked yourself this same question at some point in your journey. Look at your own experience for a moment. How many times have you opened a book but closed it after 5 minutes because everything felt too hard? How many times have you wanted to practice speaking English but stayed silent because fear felt stronger than desire? How many times have you promised yourself you would change, only to repeat the same habits again? Mira's struggle is your struggle. Her pain is familiar, universal, something we all feel when we try to become someone better than yesterday. And in this story, she is not a hero yet. She is simply human, tired, confused, but still holding a tiny spark of hope. That small spark matters more than she realizes. Even when she thinks she has nothing left inside, there is still one small part of her that wants to try again. And sometimes that small part is enough to begin a new chapter of life. But today, she cannot see that truth yet. She returns to her chair, slowly, as if she is negotiating with herself. She opens her notebook once more, even though her hands shake with uncertainty. She writes a simple sentence. "I feel tired today, but I want to improve." The sentence is short, but it carries honesty, clarity, and courage. 3 things stronger than motivation. Learning English is not only about grammar and vocabulary. It is also about learning yourself, your emotions, your patterns, and your inner strength. On hard days, the most important lesson is not a new word. The most important lesson is learning how to continue. If you feel like Mira today, repeat after me slowly. It's okay to feel tired. It's okay to feel slow. I can still move forward. Say it one more time with a softer voice. Even small steps count. This is how her journey begins. Not with power, not with confidence, but with honesty. And in the next chapter, we will see how doubt becomes louder before hope becomes brighter. For now, take a moment to breathe, just like Mira did. Let your heart settle and allow yourself to be human. Chapter 2. When doubt becomes loud. Have you ever tried to move forward and suddenly felt a voice inside you saying, "You can't do this"? Have you ever opened a book or started a new habit, but a quiet fear rose up and whispered, "What if you fail again?" This is the moment when doubt becomes louder than motivation, louder than dreams, louder than the small hope in your heart. And today, Mira is standing in the center of that moment, trying to understand the storm inside her mind. She sits again at her wooden table, staring at the page she tried to study earlier. The words look blurry, not because her eyes are tired, but because her confidence is falling apart piece by piece. A question appears inside her mind, sharp and painful. Why am I even trying? And once the question appears, fear quickly joins it, adding more noise, more pressure, more confusion. Doubt is not just a thought. It is a voice that repeats itself until it becomes true in our imagination. For many English learners, doubt begins with one mistake, a forgotten word, a wrong sentence, a moment of silence. That tiny mistake grows into a belief. I'm not good enough. And Mira feels this belief sinking deeper as the minutes pass. She remembers the last time she tried to speak English in front of her classmates. Her hands were shaking, her voice was weak, and one simple word disappeared from her memory at the wrong moment. Everyone waited. No one laughed. But Mira believed they were judging her, even though they weren't. That moment became a seed, and today that seed grows into a forest of fear. Have you ever felt that? A single memory turning into a barrier that blocks your progress? A short moment replaying in your mind again and again, louder each time? This is how doubt works. It takes one moment and turns it into a story you believe about yourself. Mira closes her eyes and takes a deep breath, but her thoughts do not calm down. She hears another voice, even stronger. You're too slow. You're not improving. You will never be confident. The mind can be a powerful friend, but on difficult days, it can feel like a heavy enemy. She wonders if she should take a break, or if she should give up completely. The room around her is silent, yet inside her mind, it feels like a crowd is shouting. Every doubt she has ever felt seems to come back at the same time, covering her dream with fear. She thinks of students online who speak fluently, who seem confident and natural. She whispers, "Why can they do it? But I can't." This comparison is the second kind of doubt, the kind that steals hope by making you feel small. When we look at someone ahead of us, we forget they once stood at the very beginning too. Mira imagines fluent speakers as people who never struggled, never doubted, never felt lost. But the truth is simple. Every confident speaker was once a scared beginner. This moment reminds her of a biography she once read about a famous Japanese writer. The writer said he almost quit writing because he felt talentless and slow. He wrote for years before anyone noticed his work, and he doubted every page he created. But he continued, not because he felt strong, but because he wanted to see who he could become. Mira thinks about that story, and for a brief moment, her breathing slows. If successful people felt doubt and still continued, maybe she can continue too. But the thought disappears quickly as another fear rises. What if I try again and fail again? This question freezes her, like cold water on warm skin. This is where psychology offers a gentle truth. Your brain is not trying to stop you. It is trying to protect you from pain. Fear is a signal, not a punishment. Doubt is a habit, not a destiny. But in this moment, Mira cannot see that clearly. She only feels the weight. She picks up her pencil again, writing slowly. I am scared today. It is the most honest sentence she has written in weeks, and honesty starts to calm the storm inside her. Naming a fear makes it smaller, softer, less powerful than before. She reads the sentence again, letting the words settle into her heart. Then, she remembers something she once heard in a psychology video. When doubt becomes loud, slow down your thoughts and speak to yourself kindly. She whispers quietly, I am learning. I am growing. I am trying. Her voice is soft, but it is strong enough to interrupt the doubt for a moment. If you are listening right now, try it too. Repeat after me, slowly. I am learning. Now say, I am growing. And finally, I am trying, and that is enough for today. Mira rests her hands on the table and allows herself to breathe deeply. The doubts do not disappear completely, but they stop shouting. They become quieter, like background noise you can live with while moving forward. She realizes she does not need to eliminate doubt. She only needs to learn how to walk with it. She looks at her English book again, and this time the page feels different. Not easier, but more familiar, like a challenge she can face step by step. The fear is still there, but so is a small spark of courage that refuses to die. Doubt may be loud, but hope is patient. Her phone buzzes with a message from a friend. Studying today? Mira hesitates. She wants to say no, but instead she replies, trying. The single word makes her feel lighter, as if choosing to try is already a victory. And in many ways, it is. The chapter of doubt is not over, but Mira now understands she does not face it alone. Millions of learners around the world feel the same fear, the same slow progress, the same uncertainty. And progress begins not with perfection, but with honesty and small steps. Mira sits up straighter, opens her notebook, and writes one more sentence. Today, I continue. Before we end, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. What doubt is loud inside your mind today? What small step can you take right now, even a tiny one? Whisper to yourself, I continue. Chapter 3. A small voice of support. Have you ever noticed how the smallest voice can sometimes feel louder than all your fears combined? Have you ever felt lost, confused, overwhelmed, until one gentle sentence reminded you of who you were? This chapter is about that moment, the moment when a soft, kind voice enters a noisy, chaotic mind. And sometimes that voice becomes the first light in a very long tunnel. Many English learners carry heavy doubt inside their hearts. You try to speak, but fear stops you. You try to study, but the negative voices get stronger. Maybe people laughed at your accent once, or you felt embarrassed when you made a mistake. Slowly, you started believing you were not good enough, even though it was never true. The pain becomes heavier when you carry it alone. You wake up, and your first thought is, can I really do this? You try to practice English, but the fear of judgment sits beside you like a shadow. You don't ask for help because you think others won't understand your struggle. But here is the truth. Someone always understands more than you think. And sometimes the person who helps you most is not the one who gives solutions. It's the one who listens, who sees your effort, who believes when you do not. In our story, that person begins to appear right when the main character needs it most. One afternoon, after a long and painful week, the character sits quietly at a small cafe. The noise of the world feels overwhelming, but the silence inside feels even heavier. They keep repeating the same thought. Maybe I should give up. But then, a familiar voice gently interrupts the downward spiral. It is a friend, not a perfect friend, not a genius, not a superhero. Just someone who cares enough to sit down and truly look at them. Hey, you look tired. What's happening? The friend asks softly, not with pressure, not with judgment, just simple human concern. The character tries to smile, but fails. I don't know, they whisper, shaking their head slowly. I feel like I'm fighting something I can't see. My English isn't improving. My confidence is gone. The words feel heavy, but saying them out loud is the first breath of relief. The friend doesn't interrupt. They don't say, just practice more. They don't say, it's easy. They simply listen, fully, respectfully, patiently. After a moment, the friend gently says, you know, I've watched you work so hard. You always show up, even when you're scared. I don't know all the answers, but I believe in you, and I think you've forgotten why you started. Those words stay in the air like warm sunlight, soft, quiet, but powerful enough to stop the character's tears, because deep inside, they did forget. They forgot the dream that once made their heart feel alive. The character looks down, remembering their first reason for learning English, not for exams, not for pressure, not to impress anyone, but for freedom, the freedom to express ideas, meet new people, build a new life. The dream was never about being perfect. It was about becoming more confident. The friend continues, "You don't have to solve everything today. Just don't stop believing in the dream that brought you here. You're stronger than you think, even if you don't feel it right now." And slowly the character begins to breathe again. This is the psychology of encouragement. Small, gentle support creates real strength. Humans grow when they feel seen and valued. English learners grow when they feel safe to try and fail again and again. Progress loves patience, and confidence grows in environments where you are respected. Think about your own journey. Was there someone who believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself? Or maybe you're still waiting for that voice. If so, let this chapter be that voice for you. You don't need perfect guidance. Sometimes a simple sentence can change everything. Keep going. I believe in you. Let that message stay in your heart the next time doubt becomes loud. Now the character begins to reflect, quietly, deeply, honestly. They remember the first day they opened an English book with excitement. They remember the dream of speaking confidently to people around the world. They remember wanting a better life and believing it was possible. This reflection doesn't erase the fear instantly, but it creates a doorway, a tiny opening in a locked room. It gives hope just enough space to enter again. And hope is often the first step toward transformation. The friend doesn't stay long. They don't give a long speech, and they don't try to fix everything. They simply say, "You're not alone, okay?" And those words follow the character all the way home. Support doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes the quietest encouragement reaches the deepest wounds. Sometimes the smallest kindness begins the biggest changes. And sometimes one soft voice interrupts 1,000 loud doubts. Before we end this chapter, I want you to practice a simple English affirmation. Repeat after me. I am learning. I am improving. I am not alone. Say it gently, but say it with honesty. Let it stay with you until the next chapter. And now, one small action. Write in the comments. I will keep going. Just 3 words, but full of power. I'll see you in the next chapter, where courage begins to form again. Chapter 4. The setback that changes everything. Have you ever felt like just when a life starts to feel a little lighter, something heavy suddenly falls on your path? Have you ever thought you were finally getting stronger, only to face a challenge that almost breaks you again? This is the chapter where everything changes, where the character meets the moment that pushes them to the edge. Because every story has a turning point, and every dream has a test. For many English learners, setbacks feel personal and painful. You study for weeks, and then one mistake makes you feel like you learned nothing. You try to speak, and someone's reaction crushes your confidence. You work hard, and life throws a problem that steals your time, energy, and focus. The character in our story feels a little hope after the friend's gentle encouragement. They start reviewing basic words again, slowly rebuilding their confidence. They practice short sentences, whispering them softly at night to avoid embarrassment. It's small progress, but progress still, and it gives them a tiny flame of belief. Then the setback arrives. It is unexpected, sharp, and heavy. A moment that feels unfair, almost cruel. A moment that threatens to erase all the progress they made. And like most real challenges, it comes without warning. One morning, the character walks into a training session at their new job. Everyone must introduce themselves in English, clearly, confidently, in front of a group. The character's heart beats loudly, sweat gathers on their palms, and their throat tightens. Still, they step forward, remembering the friend's words. "You're not alone." But as they begin speaking, the words don't come out smoothly. Their accent feels heavy, their pronunciation feels wrong, and their mind suddenly goes blank. A small mistake causes someone in the group to chuckle quietly, not with kindness but ridicule. The character freezes, humiliated, unable to continue. The instructor gently moves to the next person, but the damage is done. The character feels their confidence collapse like fragile glass. The embarrassment burns inside their chest, replaying again and again. Suddenly, they feel like a failure, convinced they will never improve. That night, the character goes home and sits alone in their small room. The quiet feels too loud. Tears come easily, not because of weakness, but because of exhaustion. "Why is this so hard for me?" they whisper to themselves. This emotional moment is not just about language. It is about identity, self-worth, and the fear of not belonging. Many learners experience this, the sense that one mistake defines their whole journey. But setbacks are never the end. They are invitations to grow. The character thinks about giving up completely. They close their books, push their notes aside, and delete their English learning apps. They lie down and stare at the ceiling, feeling the weight of failure on their chest. This is their lowest moment, the emotional edge where many people quit. But here is the psychology behind setbacks. We break down before we break through. The biggest pain often comes right before a new level of strength. And setbacks test whether your dream is truly yours. The character wakes up the next morning with swollen eyes and a tired heart. They move slowly, still ashamed, still hurting. But somewhere deep inside, a thought rises, small but alive. This can't be the end. Another voice follows. "I've come too far to stop now." They remember their original dream. They imagine the future they want, the job, the confidence, the ability to communicate. They imagine speaking English freely, without fear or doubt. And that vision becomes a spark in the darkness. But even with that spark, the challenge is far from solved. The setback forces the character to see the truth. They need a new strategy, new habits, and a new mindset. They need to face their fear directly instead of avoiding it. They think about the friend's voice, the support that felt so small yet so powerful. Suddenly, they realize something important. One painful moment cannot erase months of effort. One laugh cannot define their value or intelligence. Setbacks hurt, but setbacks also reveal what truly matters. For the character, this moment becomes a mirror that shows both their weakness and their hidden strength. A mirror that asks, will you break or will you rise? And this is where the turning point begins. Not with victory, but with honesty. Not with confidence, but with courage. The courage to try again, even while shaking. In this moment, the character makes a promise to themselves. I will not let one painful moment destroy my dream. They take a deep breath, reopen their notebook, and place a hand on the first page. It feels heavy, but it also feels right. Before we close this chapter, let's practice together. Repeat after me. Setbacks do not stop me. They shape me. Say it slowly, clearly, with belief, because this chapter is your turning point too. Now, write one sentence in the comments. I will rise after every setback. This small action will strengthen your mindset as we continue to the next chapter. Chapter 5, Choosing to Try Again. Have you ever been at the lowest point and wondered if taking just one more step is even worth it? Have you felt so heavy from failure, shame, or fear that the idea of trying again seems impossible? This chapter is about that choice. The moment when the character, after the setback, decides to keep moving forward. Because progress often begins with one small decision, quietly made, without fanfare or applause. The morning after the painful failure, the character wakes with a lingering ache in their chest. Their confidence feels fractured, their energy scattered, and their mind hesitant. Even opening the English book feels like lifting a mountain, a task that seems impossible in their tired state. Yet somewhere, a tiny voice whispers, "Just try. Just one step. That's enough for now." Small steps do not require perfection. They only require honesty and willingness to act, despite fear. The character sits at the table, breathes deeply, and writes one sentence in their notebook. "I will try today, even if it is small." This act feels simple, almost trivial, but it carries power. Because every great journey begins with a single step forward, no matter how slow. The character then opens the English app and chooses one short lesson, just 10 minutes. No pressure, no judgment, just practice for the sake of trying. At first, their hands shake as they type words and read aloud. Pronunciation falters, sentences stumble, and mistakes appear in every line. But the difference today is subtle yet crucial. They do not quit this time. They keep moving, one word at a time, letting small progress replace fear. This moment mirrors the psychology of habit formation. Tiny, consistent actions create momentum, even when results are invisible at first. The character is learning to trust the process instead of judging the outcome. Slow, small steps are far more effective than dramatic bursts of effort followed by burnout. After the 10-minute practice, the character smiles faintly. It is a quiet smile, not celebratory, but meaningful, proof that they tried again. They take another deep breath and speak one sentence aloud. "I am learning. I am improving. I am not giving up." Small victories like this begin to build inner strength. They do not erase the previous setback, but they lessen its weight. Each small action becomes a building block for confidence, fluency, and motivation. The character notices something important. Progress does not need to be loud to be real. Later that day, they try speaking to a classmate in English. The conversation is short, imperfect, full of pauses and hesitations. Yet, after the conversation ends, they feel lighter, proud, and energized. Because they chose to act despite fear instead of staying paralyzed by it. This is the turning point of self-discipline and resilience. The character is learning a vital lesson. You cannot always control results, but you can control effort. Effort repeated daily quietly accumulates into growth and fluency over time. The key is to show up consistently, even when it feels small, even when it feels slow. English learning, like life, is built from small, repeatable actions. Reading one paragraph a day, speaking one sentence aloud, writing one phrase in your notebook. These are the seeds. Over weeks and months, those seeds grow into skill, fluency, and confidence. The character begins to understand this truth deeply as they continue their practice. Before this chapter ends, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. Where can you take one small step today? What tiny action will move you closer to your dream? Even 10 minutes, one sentence, or one attempt to speak aloud is enough to start the momentum. Consistency matters far more than intensity. Now, Repeat after me slowly, aloud. I will try again. I will take small steps. I will move forward. Say it clearly, believe it, let it echo in your mind. Finally, write in the comments one small action you will take today to keep moving forward. It can be reading one line in English, writing one sentence, or speaking one phrase. Every tiny effort is a step toward growth. And remember, progress often appears slowly, quietly, and with patience. The character is no longer paralyzed by fear. They are learning to face doubt, take action, and trust that small efforts add up. And in the next chapter, we will see how these small steps begin to create visible change, building momentum for confidence and fluency. Chapter 6. Learning the power of small steps. Have you ever felt frustrated because progress seems invisible, even when you work hard every day? Have you wondered if small efforts really make a difference, or if they are wasted against bigger challenges? This chapter is about discovering the hidden power of small, consistent steps and how patience transforms effort into real change. Because growth is rarely sudden, it is quiet, steady, and often invisible at first. After deciding to try again, the character begins to create tiny daily habits. Each morning, they review 5 new words aloud, repeat one sentence, and write a short reflection in their notebook. At first, the change feels too small to notice, and doubt creeps back. Am I really improving? But with every day of consistent effort, the brain starts to form new patterns, and confidence begins to grow. The character also establishes a simple speaking routine. They speak aloud for just 5 minutes while brushing their teeth, describing their day, or repeating a phrase. This small habit feels silly at first, but over time, it strengthens their courage to speak. Little by little, fear loses its power, replaced by the quiet proof that they can take action. They begin to track their progress visually, writing down completed tasks and words learned. Seeing even small achievements on paper sparks motivation and reinforces their efforts. It is not about perfection, but about recognizing each tiny victory along the journey. Psychologists call this the compound effect, small, repeated actions that create exponential growth over time. One evening, the character notices a subtle change. When reading aloud, sentences feel smoother. When speaking to a classmate, words flow with slightly more confidence. The difference is small, almost invisible to others, but deeply meaningful internally. The story of a famous linguist comes to mind. They started with a single phrase a day, repeated consistently for years, until they could speak multiple languages fluently. No dramatic breakthroughs occurred overnight. All progress came from patient, persistent small steps. The same principle the character is learning now. The character also learns to be kind to themselves on difficult days. Some days, they can only review 2 words or speak 1 sentence, and that is enough. They discover that consistency matters more than intensity. Skipping a day does not erase growth. Returning the next day strengthens discipline. With this mindset, the character's internal dialogue slowly transforms. Instead of saying, "I am failing," they say, "I am learning. I am moving forward." Instead of fearing mistakes, they embrace them as signals that effort is real. Confidence begins to rise, not from perfection, but from persistence. The character begins to feel more energetic and hopeful. Daily habits create structure and a sense of control over their progress. Each small step compounds into visible improvement, even if subtle. Smoother pronunciation, easier comprehension, or clearer writing These signs become motivating, proving that patient effort truly works. They also notice emotional changes. Fear is still present, but no longer paralyzes them. Frustration appears, but it is tempered by awareness of progress. Joy emerges quietly in small accomplishments that were once overlooked. Let's pause for a moment and reflect. What small step can you take today to improve your English or life habit? It could be reading one sentence aloud, writing one phrase, or speaking for 1 minute. Even this small effort matters more than you think. Now repeat after me slowly, aloud. Small steps every day create big change. Feel it, believe it. Let it guide your next action. Finally, write in the comments one small habit you will do consistently this week. Remember, progress is quiet, patient, and steady. And these tiny efforts will grow into real transformation. The character is beginning to see the change inside themselves. And in the next chapter, we will explore how this growing inner strength prepares them for a major test of courage and confidence. Chapter 7. The strength you didn't know you had. Have you ever discovered that you are stronger than you ever imagined? Right at the moment when everything feels impossible? Have you ever faced a challenge that pushed you to your limits, only to find courage you didn't know existed? This is the moment where the character meets their final test, the moment that reveals true growth. Because real strength is often hidden, waiting for the right challenge to appear. After months of small steps, quiet practice, and facing doubt, the character faces a situation that tests everything they have learned. It is an English presentation in front of colleagues, classmates, or perhaps even strangers. A task that would have terrified them months ago. The heart races, palms sweat, and fear knocks loudly at the door of their mind. Yet something feels different now, a calm determination that wasn't there before. The character recalls every setback, every small habit, every encouraging word that guided them this far. They remember the gentle friend who reminded them they weren't alone. They remember the nights spent whispering sentences aloud, practicing one small step at a time. And suddenly, the fear is no longer paralyzing. It becomes fuel. With a deep breath, they begin to speak. Words flow slowly at first, then with growing confidence, sentence by sentence, idea by idea. Mistakes appear, but they no longer define the character. They are simply part of the journey. The audience listens, not with judgment, but with attention, as the character's quiet persistence shines through. This moment is the culmination of psychological principles in action. Effort, patience, resilience, and daily habits have strengthened neural pathways in the brain. The character's confidence grows from experience, not from luck. And the true reward is internal. The joy of realizing that they are capable of more than they imagined. The audience claps, but the real celebration happens within the character. They smile, breathe deeply, and feel pride that is calm, yet powerful. It is not about being perfect or impressing anyone. It is about knowing they can face challenges, endure fear, and continue moving forward. They have discovered the strength they didn't know they had, quietly built over months of dedication. Learning English, like life, mirrors this transformation. Confidence, fluency, and success are not born from instant results. They come from facing doubt, practicing consistently, and embracing small victories. Every repeated sentence, every conversation attempted, every habit formed has contributed to this moment of triumph. The character now reflects on the journey from the first day when everything felt too hard. From doubt, fear, and embarrassment, they have grown into resilience, courage, and hope. They understand that setbacks are temporary, fear is a signal, and progress is patient. And this understanding brings not only skill, but inner freedom. Now, it is time for you to engage with your own strength. Repeat after me aloud, slowly, and with intention. I am stronger than my fears. I am capable of more than I imagine. I will keep going. Feel the words as you speak them, letting each sentence resonate in your mind and heart. Write a sentence in the comments about one challenge you overcame or one small victory you achieved this week. Practice writing in English. Celebrate your progress, and let your journey inspire others. Share this video with someone who needs motivation and remind them that their small steps matter. Subscribe for more stories, more lessons, and more opportunities to learn and grow every day. Remember, strength is often hidden until we face the right challenge. Your journey may feel slow or difficult, but every effort counts. Today you have learned the power of persistence, patience, and courage. And tomorrow you will continue moving forward, stronger, wiser, and ready for every new beginning.